This is what marathon weekend at Disney World is like. From Run Disney merch to the expo to go get your bib, come along with me for my first Run Disney weekend. First stop, of course, I had to travel here. I came from Dallas, and so at the airport, they had a nice welcome sign. And then, of course, you enter Walt Disney World. I stayed at Coronado Springs Resort. One piece of advice I would give you is to book your hotel accommodations as soon as they open up. Don't wait because a lot of hotels do sell out. I didn't use a Disney vacation planner. I just did some research and booked what was available at the time for my price range. I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was staying in the tower because that's the photo they show when you're booking, but I clearly didn't look into all the details, so I ended up staying in a village room, which was nice, but it was definitely a walk from the front. So after checking into the hotel, I took the bus to the expo, which is held at the ESPN Sports Complex. I went on a Friday evening, so it really wasn't that crowded. For marathon weekend, there is the 5K, 10K, half marathon, Goofy Challenge, which is both the half and the marathon, and Dopey Challenge, which is all the races. I signed up for the marathon, so that's why I arrived on Friday. I will say that since I arrived on this day, the 5K and 10K was already done, and a lot of the merchandise was already gone because this was on a Friday at around 5 p.m. So here I am walking through the merchandise. This is all the Run Disney merch, so I believe you can probably find this at Disney Springs also in one of those stores, but here is what they had. I wasn't really that impressed with what I had seen in this area. I'll let you guys take a look, but for me, it was just kind of bland, and the prices, of course, are pretty high, I will say. But these are nice gifts for people that love Run Disney or people that just want to be decked out in Run Disney. So, yeah, like this is what they had in that section on this side. And although we were a day past the 5K, they did still have some 5K merch. But as you can see, when they start to put those signs there, that's because there is no more merch that was originally in that area. So if you are someone that really wants the merch, no matter what, you kind of have to get to the expo day one and within like the first few hours. It is crazy. So here I am looking at the Goofy's Race and a Half Challenge merch. I honestly wish I signed up for the Goofy Race and a Half Challenge just because I love the theme of the half marathon and I didn't feel that confident in my marathon training. So it would have been nice to be able to, pick and choose or do both. But they had this really nice hoodie that was very nice in this blue color. They had plenty of pins left. So I would say that Goofy stuff definitely lasted the longest out of everything because maybe everyone was already took all the dopey stuff. A lot of people did the 5K, 10K, and of course the half marathon. But here I am showing you guys the marathon weekend. This was the Spirit jersey. I was not a fan of the color. Like it just was not, it was not doing it for me. So I really didn't like the marathon weekend merch. As you can see, it seems like a lot of people didn't because this rack was full. Now I don't know if all the sizes were there. Typically, a lot of the smaller sizes do sell out early on, but they still had the weekend pin set there, plenty of marathon weekend pins. And like I said, this is Friday evening, which is like the second to last day of the expo because on Saturdays, the expo typically starts later and it's like a shorter period of time. But they had the magnets, those shirts, and as you can see in the distance, there's the Brooks section. But yeah, this is like basically all they had for marathon weekend. I don't know. It just wasn't doing it for me. Those pants were not cute to me. I didn't like the Christmas ornament. And mind you, I was excited for this. Like, I'm thinking Disney's going to go all out. They're going to have like just the best merch because I've seen in the years past, maybe it's just the color scheme of this one, but this was what they had for just the marathon weekend overall. I just didn't love everything. So that's just me looking around and browsing. And then when we get to the actual marathon specific race stuff, here we are, emptiness, you guys. This whole side is empty. I was so disappointed, but hey, I did get there on a Friday. I should have known better, I guess, but I didn't want to come early like days before when I wasn't, running until that Sunday. And then even half marathon, they barely had anything in the half marathon section. Now that did make sense because this was the evening before the half marathon, so everyone had already gotten their stuff. But here are the magnets and the replica metal pins. So they still had plenty of those, which was pretty awesome for the marathon and also the just the marathon weekend pins and I did it pins for the marathon. Here was some jackets. Those looked like they were kind of the larger sizes. So, once again, if you are a smaller size, then you will need to get to the expo first day if you can so that you can make sure you can grab your size because the extra small, small, medium, large even goes, honestly, in a lot of the merch. So I went ahead and just grabbed pins and just looked at those to see because that was really the only thing that I can get in my size and that I even liked. So that was all I got for the marathon merch. Now, Coast to Coast Challenge is when you do the Disneyland half marathon and a half marathon or more at Disney World. And this was the last year for a while just because Disneyland is having some construction. And so I luckily was signed up for the Disneyland Dumbo Challenge, which made me eligible to receive the Coast to Coast medal once I finished the Disneyland half marathon. But once again, I just wasn't really feeling the merch. Just maybe it was the material. I love the colors for the Coast to Coast range merch, but just the fit and just selection. It was just there was the tank, there's the shirt, and there was the pins. I wish they had a zip up or a hoodie because that is something that I feel like would last a long time. But yeah, that is what they had. And then here we are looking at some more merch. Here is what the Spirit jersey looked like. I was very close to getting that Spirit jersey for the weekend, but they didn't have a small, and these already run pretty big. But I did love like the holographic material for the word marathon. It looks super cool, but the medium was just too baggy for me. It just wasn't worth the $80 price tag considering it was going to be so huge on me. And here I am showing you guys some of the 5K merch, which they still had actually. I misspoke from before, but I love the purple. The color and the merch for this was really nice. It was like made me think I should have signed up for this. But here you see the different 5K merch. Obviously, this is extra because this is days after the 5K had already been completed. And so they had the magnets, they had the pins, they had the shirts. And yeah, like the 5K, super cute. Love the color. Love even that long sleeve. I loved all the merch from this section. It made me really jealous. And then here was what was left for the 10K merch. So I was wrong again from my earlier clip that I said they didn't have anything. They did still have magnets, pins, jackets, and shirts. This was the day of the 10K. I mean, like the evening part. So this was already done. So if people maybe already finished the race and wanted to come back, then they had the opportunity to get some of the merch that was left. But next, let's look at the Brooks now. Run Disney has a partnership with Brooks, so they have all these different shoes. Here are some of the Run Disney specific shoes. These are the Mickey Mouse shoes that my mom eventually got later on. And then they had, of course, the Chipmunks shoes, which I was tempted to get. I really thought those were cute. They had these Lilo and Stitch glycerins, which were nice. They had these castle shoes. But I actually was wearing my Minnie Mouse shoes that I got online. Those shoes launched during Springtime Surprise, and I didn't run that race, but I looked out online and they had them in my size. I have big feet, okay? So luckily my size did not sell out at the actual race weekend. So I would always recommend if you aren't a part of Run Disney weekend, but you're interested in the shoes, you should look online like maybe 4 days after it ends because they will have whatever's left online, but just know they will sell out very quickly. Now on to the actual expo where they have all the different vendors. What is cool about this is they show all the medals that you can receive this weekend. There's the 5K, 10K half, marathon, dopey, and goofy, of course. Here is the Coast to Coast Race Challenge medal that people can earn, as I mentioned, from doing Disneyland and Disney World in this calendar year. And yeah, they have a lot of different brand activations. This was the State Farm section, which they had these personal bobbleheads, which was pretty cool. You can pick the different like stand and then take your picture and then they'll put it in there, which is pretty cool. So I did that. And then they have all types of vendors. Here is a vendor that had headbands. There's vendors for shoes, socks, any gels, really anything that you may need before the race, during the race, and fueling. Just especially this is nice if you forget something at home or you just really want to try stuff out, like because you can try things on while you're there. So it's nice to have all of that on site so that you don't have to go too far and look elsewhere because you can get it all there. So they have all these different vendors. Even they have vendors for recovery, which is pretty cool. They have, like I said, I got some gels because I just forgot some, and I just want to make sure I had some more of my favorite, flavors while I was there instead of hoping for the best at during the race, I mean. And then I just wanted to try out these boots. I can't remember the name of the brand, but you can see they're not the Normatec, but they're very similar. And here is the view from above. What you'll see in the distance are those big numbers where you can take a picture next to, the amount of miles that you're doing, whether it's 3.1, 6.2, 13.1, or 26.2, or even the goofy and dopey mileage. So that was pretty cool. And here I am finishing out the video with showing you my bib and how excited I was to run the Disney World Marathon for the first time.